my channel. I am Daniel, the host of Mirror Sphere Origins, and welcome to another fabulous Friday. That's what today is. It's Friday morning, pretty early still. I know it's a little early for most of my videos, but I decided I wanted to review something I thought was going to be freaking horrible. I had no faith in this. The One Piece, as you can see, big fan of One Piece. The One Piece Netflix live action. I have never read the manga, but I have watched every episode of the anime. I am fully caught up on Crunchyroll with the One Piece animation in Japanese, and I watched the Japanese version, but I use subtitles to. So I watched every episode so far that's out. How does it hold up? Let's be honest. It's still cheesy. Cheesy as hell. But I was surprised how much I actually enjoyed the show. It has its downsides, I'm not gonna lie. There is a race swapped character, which I kind of thought was stupid because it doesn't matter. It's Nami's sister who... It's her, well, technically it's her, like, not her actual biological sister, because they're not actually blood, but they're adopted. Let's get it out of the way. What do I actually think about the show? I think it was pretty good. I think for an animation adapted into live action, I was surprised how good it was. But I'm still going to take points off for certain things. Like, they kept the key parts of the story. I like that. But they also changed a lot, which I kind of understood a little bit. Mostly because, you know, you always have so many episodes. You know, they pretty much fit almost the entire East Blue saga into this. They didn't do the smoker on on the last island before they go to the Grand Line yet. They changed a couple of the characters around a little more. Like Luffy's grandpa was a lot more aggressive, a lot more angry, I felt, in this one. For a long time I didn't like his character. I felt it was it's more almost weird. The animation is great. I love the fucking animation. I love it. But there's a lot of you can do an animation that live action doesn't work. Like my story, my book, I don't think would make good at all live action. I think it's fantastic as it would be a fantastic anime or something like that. But in live action, I would give this, just the live action adaptation, I give it a 7 out of 10. Most of it I enjoyed. Let's say one of the things I was really surprised of was Zoro. I really had a feeling that he was, because I didn't really know his character in the anime. He's more white. He's more, you know, he's kind of a white guy who has like been trained in Asian samurai style. Think of The Last Ronin or The Last Samurai style of thing. But in this live action, he's Asian. But I have to say, the guy who played Zoro did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed his role, like his acting, his roles, his action scenes. Because I was worried he's gonna have the 3-sword style. How the hell is that gonna be? He's gonna hold a sword in his mouth and fight, you know, all three. And in the end, for what it was, I actually enjoyed Zoro. I think Zoro did a great job. And then you had the Sanji later in the show. I think he did a fantastic job with his action scenes. The biggest problem, I think, was Luffy. With Luffy, I feel that you could tell the actor had passion, was really trying with his character. But there's just something off when you go to live action between animation. Animation can be a little silly, it can be a little more cartoony, and a little more, you know, in live action, you kind of have to be a little more serious, and his character was just, I don't know, it didn't feel like Luffy. It felt like someone trying to be Luffy, but not really hitting the target. I think the animation of his stretching and stuff like that was it was horrible. It wasn't like super cringe. I thought it was going to be so cringe, but they did a better job than I thought they were going to. Usopp, character play Usopp, I think he did a pretty decent job. With some of the characters, you can tell, like Arlong looked ridiculous. A tiny little nose that had like little saw blades. In the animation, he's got this freaking huge ass nose. There's, you know, big saw. He's blue. He's got the big, giant teeth. They had to cut a lot in a lot of the fights. The fights between Luffy and the main bad guys throughout the thing end super fast. The animation, they last a lot longer. And they even cut like entire boss battles. Like, I can't remember his name, but he had the big metal shield that shot, and he had the big explosive spear. And he fought Luffy. Luffy beat him, but in live action, he doesn't fight him. They actually skip that whole thing they have where Mihawk, the best swords guy, ends up just wiping out all the dudes, and he kills him like straight up. And he didn't look like the guy. He was near as big. He was like kind of but he was not near as massive as the character in the animation. God, what else? I think they had a lot of blood in it, stuff like that, which I thought was pretty good. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. It's not great. It's not like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. No, not even close. But it did better than what I expected. When I expected to come into this, I thought I was going to hate this show. I thought it was going to be super cringe. I thought all the animation were going to suck. It wasn't going to fit. They weren't going to take the story seriously. They were going to change a lot of the story to make it more woke and blah, blah, blah. It didn't have any of that in there. They kept all the characters to the animation. They kept all the backstories. They did a great job with the backstories. They really made you feel for the characters in the story and what happened. You got Zoro's backstory with his friend who dies, who him and her were, made a promise to be the best swordsman. You had Sanji, who, ended up landed a crash on a little island with his pretty much adopted father, pretty much in a way, cook, mentor, and then who like almost starved to death. They were, pretty much no food for almost 70 days, 75 days or something like that. And then you have, Nami, whose whole island was taken over Arlong, and whose mother was shot right in front of her, and she joined the pirates so she could buy back, her village, and the betrayal of Arlong. They kept that. Now, it didn't impact me as much as the animation did, because I thought the animation, there's certain points in the animation that really hit home, like really hit that, ooh, that good feeling. It tried to, for the most part, especially when Nami was sitting. There's a scene in the animation where Nami finds out she was betrayed. She tries to, take Arlong on. Arlong just laughs in her face, and she loses all hope and all. Pretty much, she's just broken, and she's sitting in the middle of a road, just bawling because there's nothing she can do, and she's powerless. She feels, and Luffy walks up, and she looks up at him and says, "Please help me." And he takes off his hat and puts on her head. And the animation, it hits you really a lot more harder than it does in the live action. In the live action, you can see Nami, the character, the lady, the woman, whoever plays Nami, I don't know her name. You can tell her she's really trying to get you to feel that with her, but it just doesn't hit perfectly home. But they kept it to the story, and they kept the main things to what I enjoyed. But yeah, the ship looked decent. I thought the ship looked a lot like the ship on in the thing. They did change a couple storylines, like Mary, who was the pretty much like the accountant slash helper to Usopp's story with the girl. I can't remember her name right now. He dies. They kill him. So spoilers, a little bit of spoilers in here. But yeah, in the end though, I enjoyed it. I thought they kept a lot of the storyline to the animation, if not to the actual. I don't know about the manga itself. So I've never read the manga. I've only watched the anime. But I have to say, for a live action, especially for Netflix, they really did justice to it. And I was surprised. They actually kept what people want. That's all we ask, is you keep to the lure, you keep to the source material, you keep the story the same. That's all we want to see. We don't need a new story. We don't need your adaptation of the story. We don't want to see your, we don't want to see the creative's interpretation of the story. What we want to see is the characters we love from either the manga or the anime come to life. And they did a way better job than I thought they were going to. So that's my overall opinion. I still give this a 7 out of 10. It only lost some points for me for like Luffy a little bit. Some of the lines really just don't hit home. Him always going, wow! In the anime, it fits him. In the live action, it just goes, ugh. Like, really? And the when he says gum gum, and like, it just doesn't feel like, what I did in the anime. The anime was like, oh yeah, here we go. And this one's like, crap. But if you're a big fan of One Piece like I am, give it a shot. See if you enjoy it. That's all I can say. 7 out of 10 is my final rating. And yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to see what they do next, because they did hint at more seasons. So we'll see. And if it does well, good. If it doesn't, well, they did a better job than they did in, like, Cowboy Bebop. That thing was freaking, or Resident Evil. Those things were pathetic. But at least they kept to the lore. They kept to the, the source material. They kept as much as they could within the short amount of episodes they have. They cut down a lot. There's some that are missing. There's a lot of characters that aren't in there. Like during Usopp's story, he doesn't have like his little kid friends that run around with him. He's pretty much on his own. But other than that, it wasn't too bad. So, thank you for being here. Please, if you haven't checked out my channel, please do. I know I don't make a lot of videos all the time, but hopefully you subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button, hit the notifications, blah, blah, blah. Share this out there. If you haven't known, I am an author myself. I don't do manga or anything, but I did science. I did a fantasy, kind of a sci-fi fantasy book with a lot of Christian mythology in it. Check that out in my videos. I do talk about it. You can check out my lore videos specifically on my book, where I talk about some of the backgrounds of the characters and stuff like that. Other than that, thank you for being here. Again, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys next time in Emergency Origins. Bye!